Hello, welcome to another edition of Bay Area SILS Community Focus. My name is Catherine Jones and I'm the Executive Director for Bay Area Center for Independent Living. And it is with great pleasure that I have on the show today Rose Carey. She is the Program Manager for Independent Living and Money Follows the Person. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I really enjoy coming on PAC 14 and letting everyone know what Bay Area Center for Independent Living does.
And we're excited to learn more about Money Follows the Person Medicaid program that's offered through the center, and most importantly, how this program helps individuals achieve independence, especially those that are transitioning out of nursing facilities. So to begin with, Rose, what led you to Bay Area Center for Independent Living?
Well, I've been with Bay Area Center for Independent Living about 15 years now, and I was working for the state and retired and wanted to do something different, and went with Bay Area because I've always been interested in helping people. And we are a nonprofit that helps people with disabilities, so that just fit in with my retirement, I thought.
Mm-hmm. And you seem to be quite a popular guest on PAC 14, and thank you to PAC 14 for sponsoring our show here. You're quite an advocate for individuals with disabilities.
Well, yes, because I feel that, especially the nursing homes, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is Money Follows a Person, and that's where peers go into the nursing homes through our organization and talk with people that might be interested in moving back into the community.
Okay.
And that's very important because people that are in the nursing homes, some of them are medically challenged, but some of them are very capable of living in the community with proper supports. So about 7 years ago, we got an initiative through the federal and state government to provide a little bit of money that will help identify people that are able to do that with the proper supports. And I say proper supports, and proper supports means housing, and transportation and things, and socialization in the community, because everybody needs that, and everybody needs to be living in the community. They don't need to be in an institution, and we want to get away from that.
Okay. Now you mentioned you put peers into the nursing facilities. What do you mean by peers? Who are they?
Peers are people that identify with the residents of the nursing facilities. They've either experienced it or they've had a family member that has experienced being in a nursing home, and so they are capable of talking to people and they understand the situation. So these peers, we have two that are working with us right now, and we go into the nursing homes, we talk with the individuals there. Most of the time we go to the social workers and talk to them first. The social workers know the individuals, so we talk to them and see if they might be interested, if that's something they expressed when they came into the nursing facility. Now, if they've expressed that concern that they might want to leave, then they have to stay in the nursing facility 90 days because they have to have long-term care. And long-term care means they have to have Medicaid. Okay. So they have to be there long enough to get their Medicaid assistance. And then they can move into the community with supports. And when I say supports, that means some money to spend on their rent or their groceries and things like that, and their medical care and their personal care.
Okay. What process would an individual go through in order to find out if they're eligible to receive Medicaid services?
Well, the first stop, they would talk to the social worker, and the social worker could then say, well, we can have a peer come in and talk with you, and if you're interested, then we can provide options counseling for you. So then the options counselor would go into the facility and talk with them and see just if they are eligible, whether they're financially eligible or whether they're medically eligible, to see if those circumstances are even viable for that person to live in the community. Because sometimes you can't. You have too many medical problems. But most people know whether they can or whether they can't. So that would be the first step. The options counselor would go in, talk with them. Then someone from the health department would go in and talk with them and see if they're medically eligible. And then after that, it would be referred to our agency for peer support.
Okay. Do most nursing or rehabilitative facilities have a social worker on staff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, almost all nursing facilities have social workers. Now sometimes there's a turnover, so but we try to educate the new social workers as we go as to what the process is.
So how many nursing or rehabilitative facilities do you visit in the state?
We cover all 9 counties of the Eastern Shore. That's all the way up to Cecil, from Somerset up to Cecil, and we have 21 nursing facilities that we visit. So we have only 2 peers that do it, so there's a lot of transportation involved. But both of the peers that do it are very familiar with the program, and they're very upgoing and outgoing people. So they love to do this, and you have to have someone that's passionate about doing this. I just oversee the program. Now I do go in the nursing homes and occasionally and check on the peers and see if everything's going okay. But I did go in when we first started the program. I did go in as a peer, and so I have that experience.
Okay. Now you mentioned options counseling, which is given by the peers. What is involved in options counseling?
Well, you sit down with the individual and you go over their finances, you go over their status as to what they desire. It's all about what the person wants, the person that's in the facility. It's all about what they want. So we want to know, are they interested in having socialization programs? What kind of personal care will they need? How much service will they need when they go out of the facility? Because they don't get 24-hour care when they come out of the facility. In the facility, you get 24-hour care. When you move back into the community, you don't get 24-hour care. You get care, but you don't get 24-hour care. So you have to be able to live in the community with just a minimum amount of care.
Okay. Do the peers actually make the arrangements?
No, the peers do not make the arrangements. The peers, once the process is started, they follow them until they leave the nursing facility. And then after they leave the nursing facility, then it goes on to a supports planner. But while they're in the facility and they're waiting, because there is a waiting period, it doesn't happen overnight. There is a waiting period, and when that waiting period, during that waiting period, the peers will encourage that person, because they can get discouraged. They can say, oh, well, I don't know if I want to go through with this process or not, it's taking so long. But they encourage them, and they say, have you made arrangements for your transportation? Do you have friends that might take you to the doctors? Do you have transportation to churches, to your socialization? One of the difficult things in this area is the transportation is not always accessible down here, because we're such a rural area. And we have short transit, which is a good system, but they don't run all the time. So if you're living in the Salisbury area, it's not always possible. And then taxis are expensive. So transportation in this area is a major problem, along with accessible housing. We have a lot of apartments, but those apartment complexes usually only have several units in them that are accessible. So if you're coming out of a nursing facility, chances are you're going to want to live on the first floor, or else where there's an elevator to the second or third floor. But it's very, very few accessible housing here.
It sounds like you're partnering with a lot of different agencies to make this transition occur. So the resources are provided by the peer to the consumer. And is it the consumer that contacts these different agencies? Is it the social worker? Is it family members? Who pulls all these resources together to make it happen?
All of the above. The social worker assists. The person that's leaving the facility usually has a plan of where they want to go. They either want to go back home, or to an apartment, or to some family member or something. So they usually have a plan and know where they want to go. So the social worker will work with them, and also if they go out of the nursing facility, they will have a supports planner in that process too, that will develop a service plan with them. They will arrange for all their personal care, everything they need as far as transportation, or for the doctors, physicians, and things like that. So it is a joint effort. It's very much a joint effort of a lot of people.
So you're saying that sometimes it's difficult to have some of those mechanisms in place, particularly if you're looking at accessible and affordable housing, which is in great need within our community. So let's say there is a nursing facility resident that would like to transition home, but it could be something like they need a ramp in order to get into the home. Is there something else that Bay Area Center can do or help coordinate
Oh,
for
definitely,
that?
definitely. Some of the assistive devices, and especially ramps. Now, it's a process, so it's not always an immediate process. But we have some independent living assistive technology monies that we can use to help build ramps. Now, we have a wonderful agency that helps us. Chesapeake Housing Mission has volunteers, and they build the ramps sometimes for us, most of the time. And then they have volunteers that do this, and we supply the funds to help with the building materials. So it's a great partnership. And if it wasn't for the partnerships that we have developed, we couldn't do and serve as many people as we do. So that's all we are about, is trying to network with other agencies to do these things.
It must be quite rewarding to be able to help an individual have the option to go home.
It is.
Because I'm sure you've witnessed in nursing facilities where individuals think, this is it, there's nowhere else that I can go, this is where I'll remain. And so that must be wonderful to be able to advocate for them, provide them the resources, work with the family members too, correct? In this transition process. It sounds like working with a supports planner who will be with them and help put all those supports together for them for that transition.
It's very rewarding. When you see, well, and I'll give you a couple of examples. We had a gentleman that was quadriplegic, and he had been in an accident and was in the nursing facility and didn't know if he would ever leave the nursing facility. And he was a young man that was just able to go home with his mother. His mother, but this was something he could get out of the nursing facility, and now he's at home. So it's nice to see. We had a couple that met in the nursing facility and were able to leave the nursing facility married and left the nursing facility together and could live together. So that's always rewarding to see. And then we had one lady that was she was in the facility and she left, and then she went back to volunteer. So she wanted to give back, and she went back to volunteer at the nursing facility. So that's the rewarding part, when you know someone doesn't need to be there and they can go home or to an apartment and live independently.
And as the program manager for independent living, one of your missions is to help individuals be able to remain at home and not go into the nursing facility, correct?
Right, that's
and
exactly
so
right. We don't want them there. We want them to live home first. But if they do get into the facility, then at least we want to get them out too.
So what are the common reasons as to why somebody transitions into a nursing or rehabilitative facility?
They get into the nursing facility and they think, I've got to stay here. I've got to have all this 24-hour care. And then they get to rely on that 24-hour care, and they don't really realize that they can live in the community by themselves, but they can with the supports. And that's what we want. We want you to be back home. And they want to too, but they're scared too a lot of times, because it's if they've been there for a while, it's a new adventure, and is it going to work? And there's a fear there. So that's the reason the peers go in and do the support, because they're trying to alleviate those fears. They're trying to say, hey, there are problems. And we recognize there are problems, but we're going to overcome them, and we're going to help you be successful to be in the community.
Well, it sounds like if family members or individuals knew more about independent living and the philosophy behind it, and knew of the services that were in place through independent living, it could prevent someone from initially going to a nursing or rehabilitative facility.
It definitely could. It definitely could. And I've often wondered why we don't have any more knowledge out there about people before they get to the nursing facility, when they're coming out of the hospital, and trying to get them back into the community before they get into the nursing facility. And that's what we work on that. Even if they get there, we want to work on getting them out.
Could you share a little bit about the independent living philosophy?
Independent living means people should be able to live independently in their homes, and it's their choice. We talk about person-centered planning, and a lot of people say, well, I don't know if my mother can do that. Well, it's your mother's choice. It's your mother's choice. So we want her to live as independent living, or as independent as possible. And sometimes family members do not recognize that, well, maybe she can do this, because they feel like they might be obligated to do this. But with the proper supports, the person can do this.
If you know of a loved one in a nursing facility, or you're in a nursing facility now and you're watching this program, where would you begin this process of inquiring about how to seek options counseling?
I think the starting point would be the social worker, and of course they always know most of the programs in the community, so that would be your starting point. But we have a peer that goes into each nursing facility here on the shore, and like I said, all 9 counties. So anyone can contact our office and say, I think my mother's in the facility, or my father's in the facility, he might need your services. So he can certainly call us, and I will certainly get that peer in touch with that person. So if most of the facilities know the person's schedule, the peer's schedule. So when they go in, they identify themselves. So a lot of times they're well known in the facility, is what I'm trying to say. So you can just contact that person there, or you can contact a social worker, or you can contact me, and I'll be glad to refer. And the phone number, of course, is 443-260-0822.
Okay. Who would make a good candidate for transitioning back into the community?
Anyone that isn't severely medically challenged. And some people, and we had a gentleman, I guess, that he had to have dialysis, and he really wanted to move back home. And that was a problem for him, because he was in the facility and he was getting dialysis right there. So his challenge was, do I want to leave the facility and risk not getting my dialysis and everything? So he chose to remain in the facility, but he would have been a candidate if he had not. He was just afraid that he would not get the services he needed. So you have to worry about that too. That's a big concern.
Absolutely.
Because you're not going to get the same services in the community as you did in the nursing home, but you have a much more rewarding life sometimes. But people do choose to stay in the nursing facility, and most of our nursing facilities are very nice here and very comfortable, and they make people as they have activities. They're all the time doing something. One of the nursing facilities brings residents over to our center, and we have once a month, and we have like a little get together, and we play bingo. So that's always they always need activities.
And of course, Esther's Wings too. Would you like to share a little bit about that program?
Sure. Esther's Wings is one of the programs that I talked about, where that nursing home brings people over, and we have a donor that her name is Carol Steffi, and in memory of her mother, she has set up a fund at the Community Foundation, and she's given us some of the funds, and we do 2 different things with them. We bring someone over for once a month from Salisbury Genesis. We bring a group over, and we play bingo. We have fun. We talk. We sing. We do whatever they want to do, and we have little refreshments. And then once a month, we usually go to another nursing home and do a health and happiness cart, where we just give away different items to people that need lotion or powders or socks or anything that they don't get in the nursing facility. So that gives us a little bit more. It's a little bit fun program. That's what we consider. We dress up, and we're called the Fun Ladies. We go in and we have a good time and just talk with some of the residents and give them a laugh.
And we've seen you on Pack 14 with boas on and silly hats, right?
Yes, definitely.
You're definitely someone that's
I'm being
memorable.
serious today.
Okay. What are some of the top concerns that family members might have?
That's an excellent question, because when we started this program, and I use me as an example. My mother had been in a nursing facility and she was medically challenged, and at that particular time she could not have gone out of the nursing facility. So when we started the program, I said, I can't have people just going in and talking to people randomly, because if someone had walked up to her and said, "Do you want to go home?" she would have said yes. And I would
Yeah.
have been upset because I knew she couldn't go home.
Yeah.
So it is very difficult. So what we do is, that's why we try to work through the social workers, because family members it's been a rough process to try to make that decision as to whether that family member needs to stay in the nursing home. So we have to be tread lightly, so to speak, but with the proper supports. And we have to realize that we're talking about the individual. Yes, family is concerned, but the individual, if they really want to go home, then we have to try to provide as much support for them as possible. I know family members, sometimes they think, well, I'll get bogged down in doing all this. But if we have the proper supports in place, the family member is just there for support.
And it also sounds like providing resources and education to the family members as well, because many might not be familiar with how Supports Planning Agency can step in and help coordinate some of that care.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And what's available through Medicaid, through any
Right.
of the programs
Right.
there.
And we're fortunate that we have those programs through Medicaid that will help do that for our people. So that's very fortunate. Maryland is very fortunate.
If money wasn't an issue and you could have Medicaid sponsor different programs or be able to provide more money for this transition home, what else would you like to see Medicaid pay for or advocate for or help put together to make this transition a little bit more seamless for the residents?
Well, I guess I'd have to say, in this particular area, I'm so concerned about the transportation and the accessible housing. And I know that Medicaid isn't going to probably ever pay for that, but if we had private funds or some type of funding that we could get through donations, through corporations, I would love to see the accessible housing and the transportation, because that's just so important in your life, is to be able to go and not be dependent on someone else. And I used myself as an example the other day, not too long ago, and my car was in the shop. And I was like, I am not going to make a good person without a car. So I am not going to be a good person when I don't have my independence. And I think that's what it's all about, is just to have your independence.
And as a nation, as our national health care plan continues to change, what would be some good reasons to continue to advocate that the money follows the program continues within our nation and in the nursing facilities?
I think with Money Follows the Person, we need to continue that program, because we need to identify the people that can go out into the community. If we leave it up to the social workers all the time, well, that might not happen. So we need to have someone else with eyes in that community, in that nursing facility, to make sure that that does happen, that we can enable people that need to be in the community that get there. And with national health care changing, we just don't know. The unknown is something. We just don't know what's going to happen with that. And I think that's put a lot of fear into a lot of people because of the unknown. And I hope that it does get reconciled soon, and I hope the program does continue. This has been an initiative that's gone on for about 7 years now, maybe 6, 7 years. So it's coming to an end, but we always want to keep that as part of one of our, and I say our, I mean our agency's goals, is to keep that going, because I think that's very important.
And you hate to put a dollar sign or a figure on someone's choice on how they want to live, but the reality is, which is less expensive for our government, for individuals to remain in nursing facilities, or is it more cost effective for individuals to be able to remain at home or be in their homes?
Oh, it's much more cost effective to be at home. Much more cost effective, and that's the trend. We want not only to save money, but we want, and I say we, I mean I think the country is going towards progressive health and keeping people in their home, and I think that's the direction we need to go. We don't want institutions. We don't want any kind of institutions. We want people to be able to remain in their home and have a step-down facility or a step-up facility when it's needed. And I think that's the goal with this country.
It sounds like just to be able to empower people to make choices as to what they want to do in their lives. And for 7 years, people have been given those opportunities, and so we hope to see that continue on in our nation.
Right.
Yeah.
And that with this initiative, they get a little bit more extra money when they join this initiative to live in the community. So that's always an initiative to have a little bit extra money. So when this goes away, they won't have that. So we really need to advocate for our elderly.
Okay. You had mentioned some of the rewards to being a peer in the Money Follows the Person program and going into the nursing facilities and helping with that transition process. What are some of the rewards for being a program manager for independent living and MFP?
It's always nice to see the peers come back and sit and tell me the stories of the, oh, guess what happened today? So-and-so got out of the facility and she went home and she's living at home now and I'm not going to get to see her anymore because she's at home, but I'm glad she's gone, So it's always nice to hear those stories and to hear their successes, because our peers are what really do the job, and they are so into it, both of them that work with the individuals. They just love to do it. They love to go in and they love to sit and talk and just get acquainted with the people, and then they love to see the rewards, and I love to see them happy.
And it's got to be wonderful that we are a partner with MAC Incorporated, our area agency on aging.
Sure.
And have you ever seen any of the residents transition home and receive services through MAC Incorporated?
Yes, we have, because when we have our social groups, we always see a couple that have been in the nursing home and now are coming back to the social groups at the MAC Center. So that's great when you see that. Now you know they're back and they're doing things and they're being active in the community.
And you can see them, and that's wonderful. Rose, you've just been a tremendous advocate for Bay Area SIL, particularly with the independent living movement and helping people have choices in regards to their life. And assisting those with disabilities. And oftentimes, when we look at our aging population or even going into the nursing facilities, people might respond to you that I don't have a disability, I don't need your services. Is that something you've heard before?
Oh yes, oh yes. A lot of people say, "Well, I don't have a disability. I don't have anything wrong." They do. They just don't realize they have a disability, and they don't want to admit it sometimes either, because we do have vain people, and they don't want to know that. They don't want to acknowledge this. My mother was that way. She refused to use her walker. She had a walker. She used it at home, but she refused to use it in public. No, she would hold my arm, but she would not use that walker. No way. She did not want to admit that she had a problem, and she was 97. So,
so our organization serves individuals of all ages. Then,
oh yes,
yeah, and a good amount of our population is with the aging population.
Yes,
correct?
it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But we do have young people with disabilities too, and we do have a family resource center that works with them and does recreational events. So we include everybody. We want everybody to be as independent as possible.
Who is the youngest person that you can think of age-wise that's transitioned from a nursing facility home?
Transitioning, I would say the youngest person has probably been in their 20s. Now we serve people that are 2 years old, and we just did a ramp for someone with that was only 2. But I think transitioning is probably, and that's usually due to a injury or an accident.
Okay. Rose, I can't begin to thank you enough for being on today's show.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed our chat.
We've definitely appreciated all the information you've provided for our viewers on independent living.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Bay Area Sales Community Focus, where every day is Independence Day. We hope you tune in to another one of our shows. And thank you, most importantly, for making us part of your day.